I won't waste any more time. We have a short time with President Clinton, so I'll just take great pleasure in introducing our guest of honour this morning, the 42nd President of the United States, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we're supposed to have some sort of a conversation here, so I'll try to set it up. You saw the little film there, and I'd like to tell you why I'm here doing this. First, I want to thank Michael Carey and Soul of Haiti, Leslie Buckley and Haven, and my friend Dennis O'Brien, who has since before the earthquake agreed to coordinate the work of the business partners of the Clinton Global Initiative in Haiti, and they've already raised about $380 million worth of commitments to do a variety of things, some including some of the things that you saw in the film there. But let me give you a little background. About 6 weeks after Hillary and I got married, on October the 11th, 1975, a long time ago, a friend of mine who's now passed away, and we were very close for 40 years, called me and said, I got to go to Haiti on business, and I want you and Hillary to go with me. It's my delayed wedding present. And we took 4 days and flew to Haiti. And all I knew is that Haiti was the center of the voodoo religion in the Caribbean and had been governed for decades by the Duvalier family. The then son of the infamous Papa Doc Duvalier was the president. And we went to Haiti for 4 days. This guy worked for Citibank, and they'd had a bank in Haiti for 4 years. And so the Haitian partner that we met down there said, what would you like to do? And I said, I think voodoo must be about more than zombie movies. I want to go spend a day studying the religion. And he said, okay, I got just the guy for you. So Hillary and I went one day out to a compound outside Port-au-Prince, met a man named Max Beauvoir, who was, in effect, the chief witch doctor of this compound. He had a degree from the Sorbonne and another from NYU. He had made a few $1 million in a chemical business in Paris, and his grandfather, who was in charge of the compound, was on his deathbed, sent for him and said, Max, it's you. There's only you to succeed me. Without a question, he went back to Paris, sold his assets, moved his beautiful French wife and their 2 beautiful daughters to Haiti, and took up residence. Today, at the age of almost 80, Max Beauvoir is the chief priest of Haiti voodoo community. Or as the previous president said when I showed up to help, he said this, I wrote about this in my autobiography, and he said, the president of Haiti said, this is a great deal for you. Your old buddy Max Beauvoir is now the Pope of voodoo. Voodoo actually came out of what is now known as Benin, was then still Dahomey in West Africa. And it's essentially a spirit-based religion that believes we were created by one God, that good and evil exists in the world, that they are manifest in the form of spirits, and that in this life, good and evil are more or less in equal balance, so somebody's always got to be fighting for you. And I watched all these things. And I was exposed to the arts, the crafts. We spent 4 days there. I also was there on Independence Day, and I watched the younger Duvalier, who weighed probably 100 pounds more than he does today. He's older, frail, and battling cancer. And on every street corner there were armed guards with sunglasses and automatic weapons. And in those 4 days, I drew a couple of conclusions about Haiti that have never changed in all this time. One is that they were an immensely good and incredibly gifted people who were unique in their culture and history. And the second is that in their entire history, they had been abused and neglected by their neighbors and by imperial powers. And like many children who were abused and neglected, they grew up to abuse themselves. So they had never once had a government that was worthy of the talents and the fundamental goodness of their people. I still believe that. But we're getting there. Before the earthquake hit in the previous year, their GDP had already dropped 15% because of a succession of 4 hurricanes, and the United Nations was involved there. So the previous Secretary General asked me, it was the current Secretary General, he's just taken office, asked me if I would go down there. He said, I know how much you like Haiti, and I need someone to go down there and try to coordinate international investment. And that's when Dennis and I really started working together, before the earthquake. Then the earthquake came along, and you saw the results. Why am I setting this up? Because we're trying to hit you up for money. And what I want you to know is that I agreed to do this and to keep doing it, and eventually to join the Prime Minister of Haiti in heading an unusual committee called the Interim Haiti Reconstruction Commission, which approves all large expenditures in Haiti, both of donor governments and big NGO expenditures, as being consistent with the economic plan that they themselves adopted. I said, I'm not going to do this unless we finally build the capacity of the government to govern in an open and transparent and honest and effective way. So all these things that Dennis has raised the money for and helps to ride herd over, for example, the work that Haven and Soul of Haiti are doing in Haiti, they're all consistent with the first comprehensive economic plan the country ever had. And therefore, it is more likely that the non-governmental movement, which has had between 7,500 and 10,000 NGOs at various times over the last decade working there, but this is the first time that we've ever tried to put all of this in harness and coordinate it with the government and with the private sector investment plans. In other words, we have the first chance in the long history of Haiti to make it a truly functioning, successful country. But they are immensely talented people. Haiti is the only country in the world ever established by a successful slave revolt in the early 1800s. Then, with no one in the country to speak of with a university degree, not a single trained architect in the country, in the early 1800s through about the mid-1820s, the country built a network of 27 fortresses atop its highest mountains in a circular position, so that if the French ever came back to invade them, or the English came, or anyone else came to try to take the island over, they could move the whole country behind the walls of these forts, or within the circle that they guarded. The largest of these fortresses, La Citadelle, still stands today, and it is still, this day, the single most impressive architectural achievement in the entire Caribbean. And they built it without a single architect, carrying massive stones up steep cliffs. Today, the Haitian diaspora accounts for about 20% of the GDP of the country with its remittances, which is why it's good business to be in Digicel or any other telephone company in Haiti. The new president imposed a small fee on the international calls and is using 100% of the money to put the kids in school. But the man who engineered that revolt so many years ago, Toussaint Louverture was lured into peace talks in Switzerland by the French, and they, in the language of modern politics, they disappeared him. To the current day, no one knows whether he was imprisoned until he died or they just killed and got rid of him. Then there was a struggle for power in Haiti. The general who had helped Louverture prevailed. And in all this time, they've been abused or neglected, or they have engaged in self-abuse or self-neglect. They never had a government worthy of their people. We now have had, since President Aristide was elected some 20 years ago, and I restored him and replaced the military dictatorship there in the mid-90s, we've had a succession of presidential elections, and we finally had one where there was not only a peaceful transfer of power, but a peaceful transfer of power to a member of another party in an election monitored by the international community. Meanwhile, the world, at least in my part of the world, has really gotten interested in this. And not surprisingly, probably no country outside the United States and Latin America and the Caribbean, Haiti's neighbors, and Canada, no country has shown more concern than the Irish through Soul of Haiti, through Haven, and through the work that Dennis has done, herding the business people like cats to invest money there. And the main thing I can tell you is these are extraordinary people. I've raised a good deal of money myself. We were just talking that there will be, the president has funded with this little telephone tax about 750,000 school children. And here's how far Haiti had to come. It is by far the poorest country in my hemisphere. The 75% of the people lived on less than $2 US a day before the earthquake. Never more than half the children have gone to school, and about 60% of the children who do go to school go to private schools, mostly run by the Catholic Church and other religious organizations. And they all have to pay tuition, so that the poorest people who are least able to pay tuition, if they want their kids to go to school, have to pay tuition. This is a circumstance which you often see in the poorest African countries. As a result of that, there are 200,000 Haitian children in a system called Reste-Avec, which is a fancy word for indentured servitude, where parents, sometimes for as little as $40, will farm their kids out to another family that promises to give them food and housing and send them to school in return for their working in their homes. And they give them bad food, lousy housing, and don't send them to school. The parents do it not because they don't love their children, they do it because it's like the movie Sophie's Choice. Do you remember that movie? Where Meryl Streep's a Polish Jew and the Nazis take her kids, and this captain looks at her with a smile and says, "Pick one I can have or I'll take them both." If you give one of your children up, you may be able to send the other three to school. They may be able to have a decent life. That is the burden that these people have lived under. We get all the children in school and feed them one good meal a day, the rest of the system will disappear. The largest system of indentured child servitude anywhere in our part of the world. It will disappear. On my second trip to Haiti after the earthquake, I was driving when the streets were broken into the presidential palace to see the then president, Mr. Preval, and I noticed something encouraging. There is a section of the road between the airport and the Capitol complex, which is always dominated by the street artists. There are thousands and thousands of self-taught artists in Haiti, painters, carvers, sculptors, metal workers. And in normal times, you pass this section of the road and everybody has to go there if you're going downtown. And there are fences about so high, and people will have their paintings up on the fence for about a block or so on both sides of the road in normal time. And then behind the one that's on the right as you go into town, there's a park, and there have been as many as 100 artisans in the park where you can go through 10 after 10 after 10 and buy the things they're selling. On this day, there were probably 8 people who were already nowhere near the 100 plus in the good times, but 8 people who had managed within 2 weeks of the quake to start again. So I stopped the little car caravan I was in. I said, everybody out, everybody buys a picture, nobody bargains for price. These people have the guts to start again, we're going to help them. So I bought a couple of pictures from a couple of guys, and this guy says, you can't go without buying one from me. You bought a picture from me in 2002 when my foundation went down there to help them set up an AIDS program. So I went over, sure enough, the guy had a picture of me there in 2002. And I bought another picture. And I said, I really admire you for being here. I said, this is really a gutsy thing to do. He said, oh, you shouldn't admire me. I have nothing else to do. My whole family was killed in the earthquake. I'm all alone. My wife, my children. And he got a smile on his face and he said, this is the only way I have of honoring their memory. Because we're all like a family, and all these people know me. They know what I lost. And they figure if I can be here, they should be here too. These people are worthy of our support. They are extraordinary people. First time I ever talked to Dennis about Haiti, he said, I sell phones all over the world. The best entrepreneurs I've ever seen are the street kids in Haiti that hawk my phone cards. They're unbelievable. And they've never had a government or a society worthy of their people. In the United States, fewer than 2% of our African American population are Haitians, but 11% of our African American doctors are Haitians. But they've never had a society where the same gifted children could grow up on the streets of their homeland and make something of their lives. I want to tell you, we're not doing, not Haiti, not Haven, not Soul of Haiti, not what I've tried to do there. We are not trying to put them back where they were before the earthquake. We are trying to give them a chance to become who they want to be. And that's what you're being asked to support here. We have to build them all kinds of systems. Some of the work here has been done in conjunction with Dr. Paul Farmer, who probably a lot of you know about because of the books that have been written by or about him. I hope I live to see him win the Nobel Prize. He's a very good friend of mine who has an American, grew up in Florida in relatively modest circumstances and became a professor at Harvard and a doctor at a big hospital in Boston. But he spends half a year in Haiti at his clinic, and he has for more than 20 years. So we're building them a health system now, a comprehensive one, building an education system. They never had a home mortgage system before. We're building a home mortgage system. They never had a small business loan facilities. All the big banks just took the money that the people sent from overseas to their relatives at home and made fees off flipping the money into the local currency. So if you wanted to go there, if you're an enterprising Haitian and you needed $50,000 or $25,000 or even $5,000 to start a new business, they would charge you between 45 and 60% interest. And I got a couple of friends of mine, a Canadian, Frank Justra, and Carlos Slim, to give me $20 million. We set up a small business loan facility. We're making those loans at 6%. The crafts section of the economy, the arts and crafts, are the only sector so far that is now in better shape than it was before the earthquake, adding hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new jobs because people have come in and helped them redesign their production facilities so that their products are more commercially viable, mostly in the US and Canada. but doing runaway work. There are people in this room that are responsible for reviving the coffee industry. We're working on building up the entire economic structure of agriculture there. This is an incredible rise like the phoenix from the ashes. It's something everybody who ever wanted to do anything in a charitable way and didn't want to just give money and have it blow away with the breeze ought to be a part of. It may not work, but I've been going down there for more than 35 years now, and this is by far the best chance we have ever had to give this little place a chance to be what it ought to be. And I spend a lot of time down there now. It's the only place in the world I've ever been involved with a reconstruction process, and I've been doing this a long time now, where this commission doesn't have money on its own. We just get together. It's 50% Haitians from every sector of the society, 50% people representing the donor community, including the non-governmental organizations, and any expenditure of $10 million or more, this whole commission has to ratify as being consistent with their own plans, so that it's not a bunch of people coming in from the outside deciding we know what's best for them without reference to what they want. We just had, and Michael was particularly involved in it, I'm very grateful, this housing expo, where we had all these contractors from Haiti and from all over the world come and demonstrate houses that Haitians should be able to buy as we set aside land and begin to build this. And I've got almost 100% of the donors committed to buy houses only from approved contractors that were in the expo, about 60 of them. They went through a huge competition just to be able to show their houses. For the first time, every one of them has a good sanitation system. A lot of you know that there was a cholera outbreak in Haiti. A lot of people died. It was a tragic case. A UN peacekeeper from South Asia came from a country where there was a lot of cholera. He had developed resistance but carried the strain. And because the country has no sanitation system, it got in the water system, got into other people, and we were off to a cholera epidemic, the one curse that Haiti had never borne before. But it wasn't because of the UN peacekeeper, it was because there was no sanitation system. Every one of these houses now will be built with a sustainable sanitation system. Every one of these houses will have solar power, so that it'll have their own power system. 70+% of the country had no electricity in the homes. Now they all will. The children will be able to study at night. The parents will be able to take on extra work at nights if they want. You saw the iron market and saw Dennis jumping up and down in that thing. When Digicel essentially rebuilt the iron market, it's a Belle Epoque building that was designed at the same time all the wonderful turn of the century from the 19th to the 20th century buildings were built in Paris. It is breathtakingly beautiful. And it rose out of the ashes of the earthquake. And every Haitian that goes by just swells with pride. It's like a picture that hundreds of thousands of people see every day that makes them imagine what their country can become. There is probably no place on earth where you could invest money and have a bigger impact with a higher likelihood that it will be spent in a sensible way. And at least you know it will be spent in a way that is consistent with what the donors are trying to do, with the government aid, what the new government is trying to do, going in the right direction. But we have a long way to go. We got to put the kids in school. We've got to build a healthcare system. We got to build a basic governance system. We have to modernize the ports and airports. But we can do all these things. In Jamaica, which is not exactly a wealthy country, the fish consumption is 10 times what it is in Haiti per capita. They have protein deficiency. But one of the brightest people I've ever worked with anywhere in the world is a native of Cote d'Ivoire who chose to live in Haiti because he wanted to feed poor people. And he's got the best fish farming operation I've ever seen. Feeds only organic material to the fish, not the dreck that a lot of them eat in fish farming operations around the world. And I met one of his farmers, fish farmers, a guy who literally was raising 8 kids on $500 a year before he got involved in this new fish operation, which we're supporting. His income went to $2,000 a year, and the man started crying, telling me it's the first time in his life he'd ever been able to send his kids to school. This is working. I cannot promise you we will prevail. Maybe they will fall into old habits and old ways, but I can tell you this. In my lifetime, this is the best chance this country's ever had in the middle of this horrible earthquake, which followed on 4 horrible hurricanes. This is the best chance they've ever had. And believe it or not, it's a happy place in many ways. I was the other day, I went to the place where the metal workers have their own kind of artist colony, talking to all these people that take steel drums and turn them into beautiful metal sculptures. And a number of American designers and people who have contacts in the American retail community, most importantly Donna Karen, have gone down there and helped them to redesign their products. They're making more money today than they ever have. They're rising. I met a young American woman and her husband who came to Haiti thinking they would adopt a child with the best of intentions. And they realized it would cost them about $20,000 to go through all the bureaucracy and everything to adopt the child. And they decided to spend the $20,000 on Haitians so they could keep their own kids instead. They had no clue what they were doing. They just knew they wanted to do this. They found 3 orphan boys living on the street who had never been to school. Today, those 3 boys own their own home. They're all in school. And they manage a big part of the 180 jewelry and clothing makers that this woman has built from scratch. She knew nothing about business, nothing about anything, and they have runaway sales, more than they can meet for the Christmas season. A country basically making a new beginning. These people are really worth supporting. And don't take my word for it. You know, ask Dennis, ask Michael, ask Leslie. Once this place gets a hold of you, you can't let it go. I told somebody I thought I was a Haitian fanatic, and Dennis makes me look like a piker, like I barely care about them. I mean, you just can't let it go. So I thank you for being here. I thank those of you who have already done so much for doing it. I ask you to make this Haiti Week a success. And, you know, I got lots of other things to do in the world. We work in 70 countries. The Global Initiative have projects in 180 countries. And I spend a lot of time on Haiti because I want them for the first time to be in control of their lives. I have a friend in Minnesota who runs a hearing aid business, and he went to the deaf school in Haiti, which was destroyed in the earthquake. And he said, they said, well, what are you doing here? These people are deaf. He said, just let me test them. 99% of the 200 children who were in the school for the deaf have hearing potential. And once he fitted them up with hearing devices, plus set up a system to repair the hearing aids and teach people how to use them, they didn't need a deaf school anymore. There are people like this all over the world, but these people are in a compact place where they can do it. And just one last thing. Since the 1820s, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, with whom they share the island of Hispaniola, have been in a very contentious, conflict-ridden relationship because, one, Haiti was governed largely by people who were the descendants of slaves brought from West Africa, and the other, though they have the descendants of slaves brought from West Africa, was governed largely by the residue of the Spanish and the Indians who were native there. They have worked together through this. We actually got both sides to agree that they would connect their electrical grids. It's stupid to have 2 electrical grids in one little island. They've got their neighbors pulling for them. When I restored democracy to Haiti in 1995, Argentina was the only country that really cared that I was doing it and supporting it. In our neighborhood, Today, they're all trying to help Haiti. They realize it's either going to be a grand opportunity for them or a terrible curse. You will not be alone down there. And you will not be just making it up as you go along. So I thank you for being here. But I want you to know that you can chalk this up to a man who's no longer young having his last great obsession. But if you give him any of your time, you'll become obsessed too. And if you can't do that, I hope you will give him some of your money. Thank you, and God bless you.